These are my favorite FPV drone batteries and what I would recommend and what you should definitely go buy. If you don't know what an FPV battery is, the power inside these bad boys are responsible for these insane flights. It was actually also responsible for my iPhone Pro Max taking flight the other day. Check out that video if you haven't already. The power inside here could zip your quad easily over 100 kilometers, 150 kilometers, and the drawback is they might burn your house down if you charge them stupidly, which we will not do. So these are the brand new batteries from Ovonic. They are my favorite. I've been buying them this whole time. These have actually been sent to me by Ovonic, so shout out to them. That being said, I'm not influenced in any way. I've already spent over $200 or $300 on their batteries already because honestly they're the best, they're reliable. We'll get into all of that shortly. We're going to test this on my first flight on my new drone. I've never flew something so light. So first off the bat, the brand new Ovonic batteries have some absolute sorcery in them. They're the same weight as they were in the past, yet they have 100 milliamps more storage / capacity in both of them. So back in the day this used to be a 1000 milliamp hour battery and this was a 1300, and now they just increased without getting any heavier. I don't know how that is possible, so we'll definitely want to test that. So let's jump into my first flight and I'll do all this boring information while I fly my first pack. Alright, so we have a little bit of a kind of sunset condition right now, and we are going to rip the 1300 milliamp hour battery. Sorry, the 1400 milliamp hour battery. I keep forgetting that it's increased in capacity somehow. Pretty excited to do this, especially because I've been flying absolute tanks, these 1600 milliamp hour batteries, because yeah, basically my other batteries got lost in the ocean, etc, etc. So I'm keen to see how a 100-gram difference will feel when I try to freestyle. Keep in mind, I'm not the best freestyle pilot, I just do whatever I want. I like to fly cinematic, but let's try and do some tricks, a lot of dives, use a lot of throttle, and see how long this lasts. About 5 minutes is probably a benchmark. I think it got around 5 to 5:30. Not going too hard with the 1600 milliamp hour battery, so we'll see if we can get around there. Honestly, anything about like 4 to 5 would be perfect for me, and let's give this a fly. I don't know how much talking I'm going to do because I'm focused on the freestyle, but my drone is now about 100 grams lighter. Still a little mini gap. Oh my god, it's got so much pop. My goodness. It's a bit windy. Oh my goodness, I need to like lock in a little bit. It's so poppy. Oh my god. This is sick. Holy shit. Oh my god, I thought I just crashed. Oh, Jesus, this is sick, man. Oh my god, I'm just like not sensitive with the throttle at all because it just goes crazy. Dude, this is absolutely nuts. I'm floating, I'm flying, I'm doing split S like it's nothing. And there's a dog right next to me, I think, but I can't really tell. Oh my lord, this is crazy. Alright, let's try and power loop this tree. I mean, I guess it's a power loop. Lower prop wash, lower prop wash. Alright, alright, alright. I mean, that's okay. Alright, let's not power loop something that big for now. Let's try and go a bit smaller. Like this. I hugely overestimated it. Take 2. Dude, there's so much pop. That's more like it. Juicy flick. Alright, that was not great. I had to track. That was alright. Try and... Holy shit, I popped so far back. What? This is so sick. This is so sick, man. Oh my god, I'm loving this. I'm sorry I'm not doing very good freestyle lines. First of all, I'm not a very good freestyle pilot. Second of all, I can't control this shit. Oh my god. Oh shit. What was I doing? What was that? I'm gonna have to change these rates because there's just too much pop. Oops. So while I fly the quad again, let's go through the main criteria I have personally for a good solid FPV battery. The first one is price, then we have capacity, weight, and lastly, performance/reliability. And if a battery ticks all these boxes, I would be happy to buy it. I did measure the internal resistance of the batteries when I first got them, and they're very low, basically single digits as expected from a brand new battery. So firstly, talk about price and a quick history on these Ovonic batteries. The predecessor is essentially the 1300 mAh battery, that's 120C, and this new and improved version, which is 1400 mAh and 130C. We'll talk about if we see a difference in these later. The improved version is about $53 per battery, and the older version is about $43 per battery. And in regards to the older version, the 6S batteries, which are around this capacity, are all hovering around about $40. One huge advantage for my Australian viewers is that Ovonic has an Australian warehouse, so they're not really subject to going out of stock versus many other batteries which have gone out of stock so many times at different sellers. And that's honestly why I've bought so many in the past, is that they're the only batteries in stock and they are for the cheapest price. We'll get through everything else shortly, but let's go fly the 1100 mAh batteries. Alright, so that was crazy. Like, my throttle control was so off because I'm used to having 100 grams more weight. Taking that off, it's like I'm Rock Lee in Naruto. You probably don't get that reference, but the thing's just absolutely zooming. I'm going to have to change my throttle expo to make it a bit higher because this thing just pops like crazy. I'm doing power lifts, getting sent back like crazy. My god, that's so good. I think I got a very long flight in there. I'm going to go back and count how long that actually was later, but that was pretty nuts. And I think the battery is holding up great so far. Let's put the 1100 mAh battery on right now. I don't know how long it will fly. I've never actually flown a battery this small and light, so this is gonna be like crazy pop. Man, I'm kind of scared because that was like low-key uncontrollable. But let's see how it is right now. The 1100 mAh battery. Let's get this thing off the ground. Oh man, this is gonna be crazy. Alright, let's do a little bit of a split S right here. Oh my god, it's going nuts. I don't need any throttle. This is ridiculous, my throttle is so low. Holy shit, I'm getting so much pop. I barely put the throttle up. Alright, let's try and do that in a line. So we'll go juicy flick out here. And then we'll dive through this gap. Split S here, come down. Oh, what a line, man. Look, I'm not a freestyle pilot, don't judge me. Anyway, so while I fly this new battery, let's quickly talk about weight and capacity, which kind of goes hand in hand. Firstly, the weight of the 1400 mAh battery is 222 grams. And when you compare that to a 1300 mAh 120C China Hobbyline battery, which is 246 grams. And as you know, in the FPV world, saving 20 grams here and there is always welcome. That being said, moving on to the capacity side, we all know that battery companies can kind of say whatever they want, and it's hard to really test the true storage and the true discharge rates, which is what Joshua Bardwell does. But just taking everything as it is, this is a 1400 mAh battery and it's lighter than the 1300 mAh batteries from other companies. That's just pretty wild. Now moving on to the actual capacity and flight time. As you can see, the style of flying I was doing, I managed to hit almost 7 minutes on the 1400 mAh battery, which is insane. That being said, I think I discharged it a little bit too much, which is not ideal. So I'd say around 6 minutes to 6.5 minutes on this 1400 mAh battery, which is very good. On the 1100 mAh batteries, I managed to get 6 minutes of flight time in, which is again insane. Almost have to double check the numbers, but that is how long I flew it. However, again, I did think I discharged it a little bit too much. So I would just say, to be conservative, a solid 5 minutes from the 1100 mAh battery, which is super impressive. So overall, the capacity combined with the weight leads to some excellent flight times, which may also be due to my lightish 6S quad, which is about 720 grams. But I've never had flight times like this. I never even thought you could use an 1100 mAh battery on a 6S 5-inch drone. So lastly, talking about performance and reliability. Reliability, obviously, you can't measure, but I've been flying Ovonic batteries for basically a year now. I've never had any charging problems. The old 1600 mAh batteries can still fly for at least 4.5-5 minutes. So there's nothing but positive aspects from that. Performance is where it gets a little bit interesting. So by now we all know the term discharge rate. Basically, the higher it is, the more power and the more punch you'll have when flying an FPV drone. And I didn't actually notice, but these batteries are actually 130C, not 120C. And that could be a large reason of why my reactions were so surprised when it came to the amount of pop I had on this drone. That being said, the discharge rating battery companies put on their batteries can be very controversial. They can kind of put whatever they want, but take my reaction with a grain of salt. I guess you can definitely feel it is a lot more poppy, and I've personally never flown a drone that has so much pop, which is awesome. But keep in mind, at the same time, this is the lightest drone I've ever flown compared to my other drone, which could have been at least 200 or 150 grams heavier. But back to the present flight. So 22 volts, what the hell? How come I can fly so long? I guess freestyle pilots rip it a lot more than this, eh? Let's try and dive something. Let's just dive big here. Kind of. Let's dive this tree. Oh my god, it can just catch itself so easily. I need to dive some waterfalls with this thing, man. Fuck. Oh man, I'm like kind of shaking how like powerful this thing is. So while I fly the quad back really quickly, who are these batteries for? Honestly, given the performance of the 1100 mAh battery, I would recommend these for 5-inch quad users who are on the lighter side. If you're in those situations where you need the most amount of pop possible, because you're able to cut down the weight and make your quad super responsive. But otherwise, the go-to option would be the 1400 mAh battery. These batteries are a bit more expensive than the predecessors. Honestly, you could go with either. There's no wrong option here, but if you have the money to spare, I would highly recommend going for the upgrade. So overall, the Ovonic's brand new batteries have more capacity, they are reliable as per my previous experiences. I don't know what else you could really ask for. They perform great in my opinion, so if the price is right, the performance is good, I would definitely recommend buying these. And here's to many more flights, and I'll catch you in the next adventure.